All right, so get ready for a deep dive.
Okay.
Unlike any other.
Interesting.
You guys have thrown us a real curveball with this one.
Uh-huh.
We've got a single academic paper titled Chicken, Chicken, Chicken. Chicken, Chicken
Wow.
by Doug Zonker.
Okay.
Yeah, you heard that right.
Sounds interesting.
The entire paper, from abstract to conclusion, is seemingly nothing but the word chicken.
Really?
So,
Well, that's...
certainly an attention-grabbing title.
It is. It is.
To say the least.
Yeah.
But honestly, my first thought was...
What was it?
Is this some kind of joke?
Mm.
I mean, is this even a real academic paper?
So it is a joke,
Oh,
but it's a very sophisticated one.
Okay.
Dressed up in academic clothing.
Right.
It's what we call academic satire.
Uh.
And Zonker uses it to critique some of the conventions of academic writing.
So not just a random prank then?
Not at all.
Okay.
Chicken cleverly mimics the structure of a traditional research paper.
Really?
It has an abstract sections, figures, citations,
Wow.
all constructed entirely from various arrangements of the word chicken.
You're kidding.
Nope.
He actually went through the trouble of formatting it all correctly.
Oh, absolutely.
Wow.
And that's part of the brilliance.
Okay.
By adhering to the expected format.
Yeah.
Zonker highlights how academic language can become so dense and jargon-filled that it obscures meaning.
Right.
Much like a page full of chicken might be meaningless to someone looking for, well, actual information.
Wow. That's actually pretty clever.
It is.
It's like you say, even if you follow all the rules, you can still end up saying absolutely nothing.
Exactly. It's a critique of style over substance. You know,
Yeah.
seeing it laid out like this really drives home the point.
Yeah.
It's almost like a visual representation of how jargon can build these impenetrable walls of text.
Hold on.
What it's...
I'm looking at the paper now, and I have to say,
Yeah.
he even includes a graph. But, of course, the label is chicken, 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 chicken. Ah. Gee, I can't even.
It's hilarious, right?
It is.
A perfect send-up of those overly complicated charts and graphs that are so common in academic papers.
So if we're deciphering this chicken code, Zonker's basically arguing for clearer, more concise writing in academia.
Precisely.
Okay.
He's poking fun at the tendency for academic writing to be inaccessible to anyone outside a very specific field.
Right.
I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried to read a paper outside your area of expertise and felt completely lost?
All the time.
Yeah.
It's like they're speaking a different language.
And that's exactly Zonker's point.
Oh.
He's using the absurdity of chicken to make us question why we tolerate this kind of obfuscation in academic writing.
It's like he's taken this ridiculous premise and turned it into a powerful statement about the way we communicate.
Right.
But it does raise the question,
what's that?
why chickens?
That's an interesting question. Maybe he just found the word chicken inherently funny.
Okay.
Or maybe there's a deeper layer there.
Interesting.
Chickens are often associated with mindless repetition.
Okay.
Pecking away at the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
Perhaps he's drawing a parallel to how academic writing can sometimes get stuck in a loop.
Right.
Repeating the same ideas without any real progress.
I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
But that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's like we're so focused on sounding intelligent that we forget about actually communicating our ideas in a way that people can understand.
And that's where the satire comes in.
Okay.
Zonker's using humor to highlight a serious issue.
Right.
He's prompting us to ask ourselves,
Yeah.
is this clear? Is it accessible? Or is it just a bunch of chicken clucking?
So beyond the humor,
Yeah.
what's the real takeaway here?
I think there are a couple of key insights.
Okay.
First, it reminds us that clear communication is important in every field, not just academia.
Yeah.
Whether it's a scientific paper,
A legal document,
okay,
or even just an email to a colleague.
yeah,
Clarity should always be the goal.
right. Because if people can't understand what you're saying, what's the point?
Exactly.
Okay.
And the second takeaway is that humor can be a powerful tool for critique. Sometimes laughing at a problem can be more effective than directly confronting it.
So what you're saying is there's a lot more to unpack here than just a bunch of chickens.
Absolutely. Zonker's paper is a clever critique of academic writing.
Right.
But it also raises broader questions about communication, clarity, and the role of humor in intellectual discourse.
Wow.
And it does all of that using just one word, chicken.
Talk about getting a lot of mileage out of a single word.
Yeah.
But hold on.
What's up?
There's something else in the research about this paper that I find fascinating.
Oh.
It seems chicken,
Yeah.
despite being satire,
Mm-hmm.
has actually been cited in real academic papers.
That's right.
Apparently, some researchers have included it in their bibliographies,
Right.
whether they're doing it as a subtle nod to the joke
Wow.
or they're completely unaware of the paper's true nature is still a mystery.
Wow. Either way,
Yeah.
it adds another layer of irony to the whole situation.
It does.
You have this paper that's making fun of academic obscurity, and yet it somehow becomes part of the very system it's critiquing.
Right.
It's like the chicken has come home to roost.
Indeed, so to speak. It really highlights the complex relationship between humor, satire, and the academic world.
Okay, so we've established that this paper is more than just a silly joke.
Right.
It's a clever commentary on academic writing.
Yeah.
The importance of clear communication, and even the sometimes absurd nature of academia itself. But how does this chicken-filled critique apply to us,
That's a good question.
the everyday deep divers?
Well, I think there's a valuable lesson here for all of us.
Okay.
Regardless of our profession or academic background, chicken serves as a powerful reminder that we should be wary of overly complicated language,
Right.
no matter what field we're exploring.
So even if we're not reading academic papers,
Yeah.
we should still be on the lookout
Yeah.
for the chicken in our everyday lives.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Think about it. Have you ever felt completely lost reading a legal document,
Uh-huh.
a medical report,
Yeah?
or even just a complicated email?
Oh, absolutely.
I-
Sometimes it feels like I need a translator just to understand what I'm reading.
And that's where the lessons from chicken come in.
Okay.
It encourages us to be more critical consumers of information,
Yeah.
to question jargon,
Uh-huh.
and to demand clarity in all forms of communication.
So what you're saying is we should all channel our inner Doug Zonker
Yeah.
and ask ourselves, is this clear? Is it accessible? Or is it just a bunch of chicken clucking?
Exactly. And that's a great place to wrap up part 1 of our deep dive. Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll explore more real-world examples of jargon and what we can do to combat it.
It's funny how something as absurd as a paper filled with chicken can actually make us think more deeply about communication.
Right.
But you're right, this issue of jargon and unclear language goes way beyond the academic world, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Think about the last time you tried to decipher
Oh, yeah.
a dense legal document or struggle to understand medical terminology. It can feel like you're navigating a minefield of unfamiliar words and phrases.
Oh, don't even get me started on insurance policies.
Oh, no, right?
It's like they're intentionally written to be confusing.
Yeah.
But why do you think we put up with this kind of obfuscation in so many different fields?
Well, sometimes it's a matter of efficiency.
Okay.
Using specialized terms can be a shortcut,
Right.
allowing experts to communicate complex ideas quickly and precisely with each other.
Yeah.
But it's a slippery slope.
Because then it becomes a barrier to anyone who isn't already in the know, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Jargon can become a form of gatekeeping, whether intentional or not.
Uh-huh.
It creates an exclusive club where only those fluent in the specific terminology are allowed to participate.
And that limits who can contribute to the conversation, who can challenge ideas,
Right.
and ultimately who can benefit from the knowledge being shared.
It's a real problem.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah.
How can you make informed decisions about your health, your finances, or even your vote
Right.
if you can't understand the language being used to explain the issues?
It's almost disempowering in a way.
It can be.
Yeah.
When information is shrouded in jargon, it creates a power imbalance.
Right.
Those who understand the language hold the keys to knowledge, while those who don't are left feeling confused and excluded.
So what can we do about it? Is there a way to break down these jargon barriers?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think the first step is awareness. We need to recognize that clear communication is a right, not a privilege.
Right.
We should demand clarity from experts,
Yeah.
from institutions, from anyone who holds information that impacts our lives.
That's a great point.
Yeah,
We shouldn't be afraid to ask questions and push back when something isn't clear.
right.
It's like we're all students, again, raising our hands in class and saying, wait, I don't get it.
Exactly.
Oh,
And on the flip side, if we're the ones communicating,
right.
we need to be mindful of our audience.
Yeah.
We need to think about the clarity of our language, avoid unnecessary jargon, and find ways to make complex topics accessible to a wider audience.
You know, it's interesting that Zonker chose humor as his tool for tackling this issue.
It is
It's
interesting.
not often you see satire being used to critique academic writing,
Right.
let alone communication in general.
It's a brilliant strategy, actually.
Okay.
Humor has a way of disarming people.
Yeah.
It allows us to address sensitive topics without getting bogged down in defensiveness.
Mhm.
And a well-crafted joke can often make a more lasting impression than a dry lecture.
It's like that saying, you can catch more flies with honey than with vinegar.
Yeah.
In this case, Zonker is using laughter to make us confront the problem of jargon and unclear communication.
Precisely.
Yeah.
He's making us laugh at the absurdity of it all.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's prompting us to think critically about how we use language
Right.
and how it impacts our understanding of the world.
And it's not just about understanding, is it?
What else?
It's also about participation.
Oh, right.
When everyone can understand the conversation, more voices can be heard, more perspectives can be shared, and ultimately better decisions can be made.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's about fostering a more inclusive and equitable dialogue,
Right.
where everyone has the opportunity to contribute and benefit from the exchange of knowledge.
So in a way, Zonker's paper is more than just a critique of academic writing.
It is.
It's a call for a more open and accessible approach to communication in all aspects of our lives.
I think that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Chicken reminds us that clear communication is essential for a healthy and functioning society. It's about empowering individuals, fostering understanding, and creating a world where knowledge is truly shared, not hoarded.
You've hit the nail on the head there.
Glad you think so.
So, if we're all on a quest for clearer communication, where do we go from here?
Well, I think it starts with each of us.
Okay.
It starts with demanding clarity from those in positions of authority, from being mindful of our own language, and from being willing to laugh at the absurdity of jargon when we encounter it.
And maybe, just maybe by embracing a little bit of that chicken spirit,
Yeah.
we can break down these communication barriers
Yeah.
and create a world where everyone can truly understand
Right.
and participate in the conversations that matter.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
It's a worthy goal, and one that I think Zonker, with his unconventional approach, would wholeheartedly support.
All right, deep divers, we've unpacked the satire, we've explored the broader implications of jargon, and we've even discovered the surprising afterlife of chicken in the academic world.
Yeah, we have.
But there's still more to uncover.
Okay.
Stay tuned for part 3, where we'll delve into some practical tips for navigating the jargon jungle and becoming champions for clear communication in our own lives. Okay, so we've spent a good chunk of this deep dive exploring the perils of jargon and unclear communication, all inspired by that uniquely chicken paper.
Yeah.
But now let's get practical.
Okay.
What can we, as everyday deep divers, actually do to navigate this jargon jungle and promote clearer communication in our own lives?
Well, you know that old saying, knowledge is power? I think in this case, knowledge is clarity. The more we understand about the ways language can be used and misused, the better equipped we are to spot jargon, decipher its meaning, and advocate for simpler, more transparent communication.
So it's like we're arming ourselves
Yeah.
with the tool to decode those chicken moments
Exactly.
when we encounter them.
And luckily, there are plenty of resources out there to help us build this jargon-busting toolkit.
Really?
For example, there are online dictionaries and glossaries dedicated to deciphering specialized terminology in various fields,
Right.
from medicine to law to technology.
Those are great for looking up specific terms, but what about those times when you're just faced with a wall of text
Oh, yeah.
that feels impenetrable?
Right.
Any strategies for tackling that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
One approach is to break down the information into smaller chunks. Instead of trying to digest an entire document at once, focus on one paragraph or section at a time.
Right.
Look for key words and phrases, and try to paraphrase the information in your own words.
That's good advice for any kind of complex reading, really.
It is.
It's like creating a mental map of the information
Yeah.
before trying to navigate the whole territory.
Exactly.
Okay.
And don't be afraid to ask for clarification.
Right.
Whether you're talking to a doctor, a lawyer, or even just a friend who's using a lot of jargon, it's perfectly okay to say, can you explain that in simpler terms?
It's so easy to feel intimidated in those situations.
It is.
And just nod along like you understand everything.
Right.
But really asking for clarification is a sign of intelligence, not ignorance.
Exactly. It shows that you're engaged and want to fully grasp the information.
And sometimes the best way to combat jargon is with a little bit of humor.
Oh, absolutely.
Just like Zonker used satire to highlight the absurdity of academic writing, we can use humor to point out the ridiculousness of overly complicated language in everyday life.
Right.
So if someone throws a bunch of jargon at you, don't be afraid to throw a little chicken back at them.
Exactly. A well-placed joke can often be more effective than a lecture on the importance of clear communication.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
It's like using humor as a form of gentle activism,
Right.
encouraging people to be more mindful of the language they use.
And remember, change starts with us.
Okay.
We can be the champions for clear communication in our own circles.
Yeah.
Whether it's in our workplaces or communities or even our families.
It's like a ripple effect.
Exactly.
The more we prioritize clarity and accessibility in our own communication, the more we inspire others to do the same.
And who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe someday, thanks to the efforts of everyday deep divers like ourselves, jargon-filled chicken moments will become a thing of the past.
That's a future I can get behind.
I agree.
Well, dear listeners,
Yeah.
I think we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
From deciphering the meaning behind a paper made entirely of chicken, to exploring the broader implications of jargon and unclear communication.
Right.
We've even armed ourselves with practical strategies for navigating this complex linguistic landscape. But the conversation doesn't end here.
It doesn't.
We encourage you to keep questioning, keep demanding clarity,
Yes.
and keep fighting for a world where information is accessible to all.
Indeed.
And remember, if you ever find yourself lost in a sea of jargon, just ask yourself, what would Doug Zonker do?
He'd probably just say chicken.
Right. But, sometimes the simplest answer is the most profound.
So true.
Yeah.
Until next time, deep divers.
See you then.
Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those communications